Yeah. Good morning, my dear students. This is it. Actually, last class I told you how to building twist during earthquake, isn't it? Do you remember? If the stiffness center coincide with mass center, the building will not twist. Okay, the motion will be back and forth motion. So in such a case, the damage will be controllable, minimum, right? Suppose if the mass center not coinciding with the stiffness center, the building will twist. Okay, in such a case, the damage will be severe. It is only the building will be highly vulnerable. So I told you this, such I showed you and I explained. In the first case, the stiffness is eccentric, mass is concentric. Here, stiffness is concentric but mass is eccentric. All these things I have already discussed with you, right? So today we will see some images. The images collected from Bhuj also I have shown you the previous class. Okay, few classes back I have shown you. Just again, once again you have a look at the certain images which were collected at Gujarat, Bhuj during 2001 earthquake. Okay, just have a look. Even many newly constructed apartments have undergone damages. Okay, severe damage like this. So that shows the severity and also the importance of earthquake resistant design. Okay, and moreover I have explained many things. This is the beam column joint failure I told you due to inadequate confinement, right? The beam column joint failure. This we will discuss in detail in the significance of confinement. I am going to discuss in the 4th unit. Then I will explain. Please also remember, now I am teaching you 3rd unit. I am going to finish 3rd unit shortly. Okay, next topic is going to be important philosophy of earthquake resistant design. Right, that I am going to complete very shortly. Moreover, in 2nd unit, I am supposed to teach you structural dynamics. 2nd unit. For that, I will share the Google Drive link to you. The classes handled earlier in Zoom meeting is available. Okay, I will share with you. I advise with you go through that. You can learn. The classes which were handled by me earlier, the Google link is available. I will share with you. You go through for structural dynamics. The important aspects of structural dynamics I have discussed. Okay, they send you. Right. So now I am going to finish the shortly for you. So this is now we have seen. No, I have discussed with you already. Just have this one. Yeah, we have discussed. Right. All these images already we have seen and discussed. Okay, I am coming to earthquake resistant design. They are very important. See here, earthquake resistant buildings. What will be the life of a building? Actually, life of a building is 50 to 100 years. Same. Okay, do away with the design of buildings for earthquake effects. Major disaster will lead to major disaster. No, I can't do anything. Do away. Do away. Do away with the design of buildings for earthquake effects. Why I should design it for earthquake effects? No, I don't want to do. Only if you keep quiet. Do away with it. What will happen? That will result in major disaster. That will lead to major disaster of the building. Design the building to be earthquake proof. No, I want to make my structure earthquake resistant. If you do too much, always too much is too bad. No. So what will happen? Design the building to be earthquake proof. If you attempt to do it, that will result in too expensive, uneconomical. Okay. So no, I want to do whatever technology I know, everything I want to apply, and I want to make my structure. It should not damage at all during earthquake. If you attempt to do that, that will result in uneconomical design. Okay. So what happens? Design philosophy should be somewhere between these two extremes. You should not keep quiet, and at the same time you should not do too much also. Okay. So the earthquake design philosophy should lie anywhere between these two extremes. You have to balance. Okay. Anywhere between these two extremes. That is earthquake resistant design building. Okay. Right. So objective. Okay, objective of earthquake resistant design. Actually, this object I took from earthquake tips by C.V.R. Murthy. The engineers do not attempt to make earthquake proof building that will not get damaged even during the rare but strong earthquake. Okay, such building will be too robust and also too expensive. That's what. The engineers do not attempt to make earthquake proof building. Our intention is not to make earthquake proof building. Okay, but instead, the engineering intention is to make buildings earthquake resistant. Okay, such buildings resist the effect of ground shaking, although they may get damaged severely but it will not collapse during the strong earthquake. Although they may be damaged, we permit them to damage, but it should not collapse. Okay, that's what. Thus, safety of people and content is assured in earthquake-resistant buildings. Okay, and thereby a disaster is avoided. This is the major objective of seismic design. Major objective of seismic design. I already told you. I am going in a, we are traveling in cargo, we have to use the car. Okay, if a car met with an accident, what we asked you, what do you expect? Whether car should damage or should not damage at all? Can't we have the technology to design the body of the car strong? Okay, there are so many cars going on the road. If any accident happens, what happens? The car damages. We don't have technology to design the body of the car to full steel, such that it will not damage at all during an accident. We can do it. Technology is available. But purposefully, the body of the cars are designed to undergo damage. Okay, why? When two moving cars hit each other, they are going to be impact, energy. Okay, energy. That energy need to be dissipated. So by undergoing damage, the energy, impact energy is dissipated by the distortion of that car. But at the same time, we have to see that the car should not collapse totally. If it is collapsed totally or crushed totally, it also be crushed inside. That also lead to death of you. If you don't damage at all, the energy will be transmitted to your body. In that case also, you will be subject to, you will die. Okay, that is why it has to undergo damage, but at the same time, not a full damage, full collapse, crushing. Crush should not, the car should not get crushed fully. Okay, some damage is permitted, right? Purposefully, the body of the cars are designed like that. In similar manner, during earthquake also, we permit damages in the buildings. Okay, but the building to limited extent, not to a large extent. At the same time, the building should not collapse. Totally, damage should be to a certain limited extent, more in a controllable manner. How I will tell you all those things. Okay, in a predetermined way, in a predefined way, in a desirable way. Okay, we expect the damage. Sir, how sir? I will tell you now. That's called design philosophy. Okay, this is called design philosophy. Actually, this philosophy, there are 3 points in philosophy. A, B, C. Okay, 3 points. What are they? The expert design philosophy may be summarized as follows. Okay, as follows. First, A. Under minor but frequent shaking, under minor earthquake, but a minor frequent during the lifetime of the building, 50 to 100 years, frequently it may happen. Minor earthquake may happen. Okay, under minor but frequent shaking, the main member of the buildings, okay, that carry vertical and horizontal forces should not be damaged. However, building parts that do not carry load may sustain repairable damage. It means, if you take this building, I have the main load carrying member, slab, okay, beam, column, frame, this building frame, that should not undergo any damage. That should not damage. But non-load carrying member or non-structural member, non-load carrying member like this wall, enclosing wall, this partition wall, may undergo some damage, some cracks. Okay, that can be repairable. So it can undergo repairable damage. Main load carrying member should not undergo any damage, but a non-load carrying member can undergo repairable damage. It can be repaired, right? Thus, that will damage, crack will set up in wall. That will dissipate energy. That damage of that non-structural member will dissipate the energy imparted to the building. Okay, that's what. Because the energy neither can be created nor can be destroyed. It needs to be dissipated. By inverse deformation of such material, it will be dissipated. The cracking, damaging of wall, some energy will be dissipated. Okay, that's what the first philosophy says. Next to the second point of the philosophy says, under moderate but occasional shaking. Moderate earthquake are going to be occasional in its lifetime. Moderate under moderate but occasional shaking, the main member may sustain repairable damage, while the other part of the building may be damaged such that they may even have to be replaced after the earthquake. It means, what it means, under moderate but occasional shaking, the main load carrying member, okay, can undergo repairable damage. Repairable damage is permitted in it. while the other part of the building, means non-load carrying members, can even undergo repairable or irreparable damage. Even it may require to be replaced. Okay, it may undergo repairable or even irreparable damage. No problem. We permit non-load carrying member to undergo even irreparable damage. It need to be required to be replaced. Level damage we permit. But the main load carrying member should undergo repairable damage. Some hinge formation in the beams. In the beam, some hinge formation in the critical zones. Potential plastering zones are there in our ribs. I will tell you where it is. Okay. In that critical zones, we permit formation of plastic hinges in the beam, not in columns, in the beams first. Okay. So it can be later repaired. Repaired means strengthened, right? Let us see. Let's say third one. Under a strong but rare shaking, the main member may sustain severe, even irreparable damage, but the building should not collapse. Under strong but rare earthquake. Okay, under strong but rare shaking. In doing it slightly above my building, 50 to 100 years, the shaking may be under strong earthquake means it is a rare shaking. Okay, so the building, even the main load carrying member of the building can undergo even irreparable damage, permitted to undergo irreparable damage. But see, main load carrying member itself can undergo irreparable damage. Obviously, non-load carrying member, other parts of the building also permitted to undergo irreparable damage. But at any cost, the building should not collapse. Okay, collapse prevention should be ensured. Okay, listen. Make a move. You too also. Move. Let us go. Different level. I will mention your name if you don't come. So come and sit here. Okay. That's what. Thus I will read out. Just I will read out the last paragraph. Thus after minor shaking, the building will be fully operational with a short time and the repair cost will be small. And after moderate shaking, the building will be operational once the repair and strengthening of the damaged building is completed. But after a strong earthquake, the building may become dysfunctional for further use, but it will stand so that people can be evacuated and properties can be recovered. Okay, that's what. That is the philosophy. Under minor shaking, the building can be repaired immediately. Repair means what? Some cosmetic work. Some cosmetic work can be done. It can be repaired. Under moderate shaking, even the main load carrying member can be repaired and strengthened. Okay. Later it can be occupied. It will be functional. But under severe earthquake, the building may be even dysfunctional. Okay. It can be it may be abandoned, otherwise abandoned, or it can be maybe dysfunctional. Okay, for further use. But it should stand. It should not collapse, so that people can be evacuated, property can be recovered from that building. There should not be life loss and the economical loss. Okay, life loss. Property if you are recovering, the economic loss is recovered. Right. Right. So what do you understand from this figure? I am just projecting a figure. What do you understand from this figure? What it shows? What it conveys you? Tell me, have a look at the figure and tell me what this figure actually conveys you. Tell me, anyone have to tell me what it conveys you.
Performance of the structure under different sectors.
Performance of the building under
Different intensity of
different
magnitude and
intensity of earthquake. Different magnitude and intensity of earthquake. Isn't it? That's what you understand. By seeing this figure, I ask you what do you understand by seeing this figure. Most of you, majority of you says, if the earthquake is, magnitude of the earthquake is small, minor shaking, damage is the minimum. Okay? If it is a major shaking, damage is more. Clear? So it depends on the magnitude and intensity of earthquake. The damage is less and more. That's what you understood. Okay, actually it's a beautiful picture. Okay, it conveys you, just now I told you 3 points, no, philosophy. Earthquake philosophy, just now I told you, no, that's what it conveys. It highlights those 3 points. This figure beautifully highlights the philosophy of earthquake resistant design. Just now I told you, right? Under minor shaking, first one, under minor shaking, the main load carrying member should not damage. Only the other parts of the building can undergo repair damage. There are some cracks in the wall. Under moderate or occasional shaking, even the main load carrying member can undergo repair damage. There are hinges formed in the beam. See some hinges formed in the beam. And other part of the building can undergo even irreparable damage, no problem. Under strong but rare shaking, the building, the main load carrying member of the building can undergo even irreparable damage, but at any cost, the building should not collapse, it should stand. The same thing happening. Hinges not only formed in the beam, even at the column, at the bottom of the column also hinges formed. They are called hinges. The yellow column, information. Plastic formation. Plastic hinges have formed in this case, the main load carrying member of the frame. Okay, main load carrying frame. Okay, member. That's what this picture beautifully conveys the philosophy of earthquake resistant design, as just now I told you. Okay, so that's what. Damage in buildings is unavoidable. Thus, what do you mean? Damage in building is unavoidable. Okay, because when the building damages, there is going to be degradation of stiffness. The degradation of stiffness is inevitable, we used to say. Degradation of stiffness is inevitable. That shows the undergoing damages in the building. So damage in the building is unavoidable. That's what. Controlling the damage to acceptable level at a reasonable cost. So what to do? Our technology, whatever design strategy you adopt, technology tool you apply or the technology you adopt, it should be, it should take care of the damage, should allow damage to acceptable level and at a reasonable cost. You should not spend too much also. At reasonable cost to acceptable level, you have to permit damage. How do we do that? Okay, let us see. These points I have taken from earthquakes. Earthquake resistant design is therefore concerned about ensuring that the damages in building during earthquake are of the acceptable variety and also that occur at the right places and in right amounts. Okay, you see here, earthquake resistant design is therefore concerned about ensuring that the damages in buildings during earthquake are of acceptable variety and they take place at it occurs at right place at the right amount. What it means? In a building, which is the right place for it? I have a building. Okay, this frame, you take this frame. Where do you have maximum bending moment in it? This frame. You take this beam. Okay, where do you have maximum bending moment? At the center you are telling. Okay, you told me that, sir, at the center of the beam we have maximum bending moment. Okay, of course, it's a sagging bending moment. The sagging bending moment is maximum at the mid-span, at the center. I agreed. Okay, what about at the fixed support? This beam is monolithically connected with that column. This building is monolithically connected with these two columns. So what is the bending moment? Is there any bending moment at the joint? The beam, nearer to the joint. It is monolithically connected, no, it means fixed. At fixed end, do you have any moment? Tell me, what is the, do you have any moment at fixed end or not? Zero. What is the bending moment at fixed end? Negative, very good. Negative bending moment. Hogging. You will be getting hogging bending moment, negative bending moment. Isn't it? Because it's all movements are constrained, clamped. Okay, constrained, no. Translation, rotation, everything constrained. So, since rotation is constrained, you have negative bending moment, hogging bending moment. Whose magnitude is high? sagging bending moment magnitude is high or hogging bending moment magnitude is high? Do you have any idea? That is say WL square by 12. Say this is WL square by 16. Which is higher? WL square by 12 is higher. Okay. So hogging bending moment is higher. Okay. So hinges will form. That is the what did I say just now? I told you something. What is that? Right place and at right amounts. The right place is that is the plastic hinge mode, reduced mode. So the first hinges will form at the end of the beam near frame structure. At the end of this beam, no, near support, hinges will form. Okay. We call they have potential plastic hinge zones. The critical zones are called potential plastic hinge zones. Plastic hinges will form there. Okay. To right amount, right place, to right amount it should form. Right place and right amount, they are permitted to form. It means what? You should have control over it. You should not allow it to undergo a loss damage just like that. Okay. How to say? We have to improve the rotation capacity of the beam there. Called rotation capacity. Okay. It has to undergo damage, but not to a large extent, to a limited extent, in a controllable manner. Not just like that. In a highly controllable manner. To right amount at right acceptable level, it should undergo. This approach of exploration design is much like the use of electric fuses in our houses. That's what. In our houses, if any active power current comes, how do we save this electric circuit and other home appliances in our house? We have electric circuit in our house. If any electric power current comes, what will happen? Our electric circuit as well as home appliances and all protected by a portion of the circuit called fuses. In our electric circuit, we have a portion called fuses. Those fuses goes sacrifice. Okay, and the electric circuit as well as the home appliances are saved. The similar way, in the building during earthquake, those plastic hinge zone, the potential plastic hinge zone, are permitted to undergo damage by plastification, by formation of plastic hinges, like fuses in the electric circuit, and the structure will be saved. That's what they mean to say in this paragraph taken from earthquake tips by C.V.R. Murthy. This approach of earthquake design is much like the use of electric fuses in houses. To protect the entire electrical wiring and appliances in the house, you sacrifice some small parts of the electrical circuit called fuses. These fuses are easily replaced after the electrical overcurrent. Likewise, to save the building from collapsing, you need to allow some predetermined parts to undergo the acceptable type and level of damage. Beautifully written. Okay. So likewise, to save the building from collapsing, you need to allow the predetermined part of the building to undergo the acceptable type and level of damage. Acceptable type and level of damage means you need to allow. Okay, you need to allow certain parts of the building, like the critical zones. The critical zone is the hogging bending moment, where the hogging bending moment is high. We allow it to form plastic hinges. Okay, at the same time, acceptable level and type. To acceptable level only, not a large extent, to limited extent. We can have control over it by properly designing it. Okay, right. That's what. Acceptable damage. The acceptable damage is called ductility. Acceptable damage. Now I told you, damage unavoidable. We accept level of damage we permit. The acceptable level of damage, we call it as ductility. Okay. What's the acceptable level of damage ductility now? I will tell you what it is. Inelastic deformation. Okay. The amount of inelastic deformation is the measure of ductility. The amount of inelastic deformation is the measure of ductility. Okay. It means you take the right. See, under acceptable damage, I am going to discuss about ductility. right? Ductility. By through ductility we are achieving acceptable damage. I told you in a controllable manner, not to a large extent, limited extent. How do we have it? Through ductility, property of the material, we can achieve it. How to improve the ductility? Concrete is a brittle material. How to achieve a ductility in it? Let us see. White chalk. It's a brittle material. You take white chalk and try to just pour it and apply it back and forth motion. What will happen? It breaks. Because brittle material. Your concrete also like a brittle material. No, like chalk. Steel pin. It's a ductile material. Okay, you take steel pin. You can not allow it to break easily. Back and forth motion possible. You can move it back and forth. Okay, it will not break immediately because it's ductile. Steel material is ductile. Okay, earth-resistant buildings, particularly their main elements, need to be built with ductility in them. Earth-resistant buildings, particularly their main elements means what? The part where you are allowing damage, the portion where you are allowing damage, the part of the building, main structural elements, moreover, not the entire element, the part where you allow damages need to be designed with ductility in them. How do we get it? Such building have the ability to sway, such building have the ability to sway back and forth during an earthquake, okay, and to withstand the earthquake effects with some damage, okay, but without collapse. Very good. Ductility is one of the most important factors affecting the building level. Thus, earthquake design strives to predetermine the locations, where damages takes place, and then to provide good detailing at these locations to ensure ductility behavior of the building. So what we do, listen, my building is a concrete structure, right? I know concrete is a brittle material, but how do I achieve ductility in it? I am incorporating another ductile material, steel in it. I am reinforcing it with a mild steel, okay, cast steel, high tension steel. I am reinforcing it with the material steel. But steel is very good, ductile material, well known for ductility. Okay, so ductile material. But what to do? At the portion, the part where I allow the building to undergo damage by formation of hinges, there I have to take care the detailing of reinforcement. But ductility can achieve through detailing of reinforcement. How do I detail? We are going to see in the subsequent discussion. That's why you have an exclusive IS code for it. IS 13920, ductility detailing of reinforced concrete structures. Ductility detailing. It's called ductility detailing. We are doing the detailing means how the bars are to be kept, how the laterals are to be kept. Some discussion, how the longitudinal bars are to be kept there, how this lateral reinforcements are to be kept there. That is called detailing. Okay, what should be the diameter, how much should be the embedded length, what should be anchored inside, what should be the spacing between the laterals, some discussion, detailing. So, in the ductility point of view, to enhance the ductility in that damage portion, okay, where we permit damage, where we permit the formation of plastic hinges, there we have to ensure ductility by detailing, okay, through detailing. That's what this says. That has been discussed in our IS code. Okay, that's what. See, some other figure I have shown you here. Okay, time up, okay, because we started a little bit later, no problem, only 3 more minutes. Actually, this figure, right, design, just slightly away from, not continuity away from, slightly away. See here, the upper one, if you take a masonry building and push it from the top, when the peak reaches, immediately the building fails. Immediately the curve falls down. The red color. Immediately the curve falls down. There is the ascending part of the curve, immediately the descending part falls down. Okay, that is called brittle material. You take this one, you have a pakka framed structure. If you push it at the roof level, just to make some drift pushing, and not this, what is that? Horizontal movement of roof and horizontal earthquake force on buildings. Just lateral load is acting on the building. It will, okay, it undergoes, shows nice bilinear behavior. Okay, it goes like that, and then there is a nice ductility. These are formed in the frame. That is why the frame undergo large inelastic deformation due to formation of hinges in the frame and without losing its strength. So what is meant by ductility? Another definition I am going to tell. It is the ability of the material or structure to undergo large inelastic deformation without losing its strength. I have told you, just simple words. No, sir, I want to make it more precise. If I want to say more precisely, please listen to me. It is the ability of the material or component or structure to undergo large inelastic deformation without significant loss of strength or stiffness. Both should not lose. Without significant loss of strength and stiffness of the structure. The structure should be stiff. Okay. So that is why it's horizontal strength. If it slightly goes upward, the curve slightly goes upward, stiffness also not lost. Okay. Otherwise, the curve slightly comes down. It not only loses its strength, it also loses its stiffness. Degradation of stiffness is also there. That's the meaning. Okay, that is research level discussion. That much I don't want to tell you. This much is more than sufficient for you. Okay. Otherwise, the building should offer resistance in the inelastic domain of response, I would say. Ductility is the ability. Ductility is the ability. If you ask me in a more advanced definition, if you give me sir, a research level definition, I will tell this way. It is the ability of the material or structural component of the structure to undergo large elastic deformation or to resist, to offer resistance in the inelastic domain of response. Not only in the elastic domain of response, in the elastic domain of response, the ability of the material or structural component or structure to offer resistance in the elastic domain of response is called ductility, I would say. This is the advanced definition. So, the amount of elastic strain is the measure of ductility. Okay, it is the ability of the material to undergo large elastic deformation without losing its strength. Is another medium explanation for ductility. If you want to ask me further, it is the ability of the material to undergo large elastic deformation without significant loss of strength and stiffness, or it is the ability of the material or structural component or structure to offer resistance in the elastic domain of response. Okay, I can give the explanation in many ways. The bottom figure, what you see in this building, what happened? The core concrete crushed due to inadequate confinement. This photo is very popular. I will show you. This photo is not properly shown here. I have another photo. I will show you later. In that, particularly this building, the corner column has failed due to inadequate confinement. The laterals are not properly put at required spacing. They are put apart at larger spacing. That is why, to the inadequate confinement, the longitudinal bars buckled down and the core concrete got crushed. It's the best example. In the nearby, there is another column survived very well. That figure I will show you later. Okay. So later you can see that. Since time up, you are in hungry. Okay. I will finish class by today. Next class I will continue.